Hey everyone, it's Lucy Fink. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. As promised by the title, this video is going to be a fiance does my voiceover video. So starting right now,
you're going to hear Michael's voice on top of my mouth movements. You seemed very interested in our 5-year long-distance relationship video, so I decided to sit down and make another video telling you the entire story of how Michael asked me to prom in high school. As you might know from my previous videos, we're currently engaged and we've been dating for over 10 years. So yes, we did go to high school prom together twice. Once when Michael was a senior, and then once when I was a senior when he was a freshman in college. So without further ado, here's the story of how Michael asked me to his senior prom. If you did watch our 5-year long-distance relationship video, you might have gotten a little taste of it then. Our relationship was not love at first sight, at least on my end. On Michael's end it was. He loved me at first sight. But on my end, it definitely took me a little bit of time to really fall in love with Michael. And so we were friends for a while first. I kind of glazed over these details in the long distance video, so now I'm going to tell you all the dirty details. When we first met a couple of years before all of this, Michael claims that he was immediately attracted to me. He saw my hair from the back one day in the library, and he thought, I want to know that girl. He connected with me on AIM Messenger. AIM. Shot me a message, started talking to me, and before long, the two of us became friends. We would stay up really late, pretty much every single night, talking to one another, and we were forming a real deep friendship. Throughout this time though, Michael was interested in a romantic relationship, so he actually asked me out a bunch of times. The issue that I had with this is the way he phrased it. In my eyes, if I was going to start dating someone, it would probably start with a kiss that led to a series of kisses that led to us starting to date. Michael kind of wanted to cut to the chase, and he just asked me over and over again, will you be my girlfriend? That kind of felt like the way I was doing things in 3rd grade, where you really just jump to being someone's girlfriend right away, and then you hold hands in the hallway. That's not how I wanted things to go in high school, and the truth is, I was just not attracted to Michael at first. I saw him as a great friend, and we really did have deep conversations pretty much every single night, sometimes until 3 in the morning, but I didn't want to date him. I didn't want to be his girlfriend right off the bat, so I just kept saying no. The problem is, though, I was a little bit of a tease. So Michael continued to ask me to be his girlfriend, and even though I was saying no, I was sending him some mixed signals. There were a couple times when we were hanging out when I would think, maybe I do want to kiss him. So I would kiss him just to try it, and then he'd go in for another kiss, and I'd say, nah, I don't want to. Kinda rude, right? I feel really bad about it. In this time period of us being friends, I remember Michael said something to me along the lines of, when I'm a senior and it's time for me to start asking someone to prom, if I don't have a girlfriend, maybe I'll take you to prom. I thought that was so nice, and I would have loved to go to prom with him, and even though I wasn't reciprocating and starting up a relationship with him, I still really liked the idea of going to prom with him, even if it was just as a friend. So ultimately, I think that this pursuit eventually became a little bit too much for Michael. He was asking me out all the time. I continued to say no. His heart was starting to get broken. So he made a commitment to himself, along with a strong mandate from his parents, that he was no longer going to pursue me. In fact, he needed to take a little bit of a break from being my friend. I remember when he said this to me and he came to me and said, Lucy, I like you too much. You're not reciprocating. I think we need to take a break from being friends. And I looked back at him and I said, Michael, that's totally fine. If that's what you need, take your time. So Michael did just that and took his time away from me. This all happened around the middle of his senior year, around the middle of my junior year. The moment that he stopped being all over me was the moment that I started to think, maybe he's attractive. It was kind of the classic case of the high school girl who doesn't like a guy when he likes her, but the moment he doesn't like her, she starts to like him. I know, it's a classic high school cliche, sorry about it, but that's kind of exactly how it happened. So the moment that he eased up was the moment that I started to become a little bit more interested in what was going on with him. So now let's fast forward a couple months. We haven't spoken for that whole time period, and finally Michael reaches out to me and says, I think I'm just about ready to be your friend again and to add you back into my life. Do you want to hang out on Friday? And the answer was, yes, I want to hang out with you on Friday. I've been missing you a ton as a friend. So we're looking forward to hanging out all week. And on the Thursday night before that Friday, when we were scheduled to hang out, I had a dream. And this is the dream that it's written about in our engagement song. It's the dream that I've talked about in a couple of other videos. But essentially, I had a dream where I kissed Michael, and it felt very different from anything I had ever experienced. It was like in my dream, my subconscious was showing me that I could see him in this romantic light. The kiss was great. So I woke up on Friday morning and I thought, maybe I should kiss him today. I remember being in school on Friday and I saw him in the library and we made eye contact and it was just this weird electric buzzing in the middle of the high school library. where I was looking at him and I was thinking, I'm gonna make a move on you tonight, but I was also like, why am I feeling this way? I had a dream and I'm looking at you in a very different light. So, this is where the story gets fun. It's Friday after school, I'm heading to my car to drive home, and I'm gonna be honest, it crossed my mind, maybe he'll still ask me to prom. I mean, I know that I can't really expect that because we haven't spoken for 2 months, and I did reject him about 6 times. But he did tell me that if he didn't have a girlfriend, then maybe he'd ask me to prom. So maybe he's gonna do that today. I put it out of my mind pretty quickly, and I ran into my friend on the way to my car. My friend asked me where I was going and what I was up to that weekend. And I told her, actually, I'm hanging out with Michael tonight for the first time in 2 months. To which her response was, oh, did you hear? He asked to prom. I look at my friend, and if I'm being totally honest with you, all of YouTube, my heart sank. I know that it was really rude of me to assume that he still would have asked me to prom after all that went down. But I don't know, I still kind of felt like it was maybe a possibility, and now I was finding out from my friend that he had already asked someone else to prom. But we had plans to hang out anyway, so I get in my car and I drive home, and very soon Michael pulls up in the driveway and he comes inside. He comes to my bedroom, we're just hanging out, the door's open, we're just catching up from basically 2 months of not speaking, and my dad walks into the room. So a little side note, something you should know here is that my dad is a radio DJ. He's been on New York radio stations since the 1970s, and pretty much for my entire upbringing, he was on the radio in my local town. He walks in, he comes into the room, he turns on my radio, and he basically says to me, which was totally normal for the time, I'm turning on the radio at 4:05 p.m., there's going to be a little soundbite of you that pops up. I found a really old recording of you. I play it at 4:05 p.m., so just keep the radio on so you don't miss it. And I guess it's important for me to tell you that these days, a lot of radio is pre-recorded. So most of the time, my dad goes to the station, pre-records his whole show, and then he's actually at home when he's on the air. He turns on the radio, and then he walks out of the room and closes the door behind him. And I'm just in there with Michael. This is the moment when I thought, I'm really into it. I'm feeling it. We're here. We're together. I know he already asked to prom. That means nothing to me though, because I'm starting to feel it, and I'm just gonna follow my heart. So, I kiss him. It was an electrical kiss.
I just said that line because I wanted to hear Michael's voice say it.
But really, it was an electrical kiss. We're sitting on the bed, we're kissing for a few minutes. It feels different from anything that's ever happened between us. I'm starting to get really excited. And then all of a sudden, I hear my dad's voice on the radio, so we stop kissing. My dad comes on the radio and he starts talking about me, his daughter, and how he found this old recording of me, blah, 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 blah. We're listening. For this part, I'm going to put my dad's voice over to show you what he sounded like. He said,
my daughter Lucie's really good friend, Michael Morris, is the captain of the Scarsdale High School baseball team, and he's currently in our house right now. And Lucie, Michael has a question for you.
Now I'm like, what is going on? I look at Michael, and the next thing I know, I hear Michael's voice on the radio. Now for this part, I'm going to actually play the recording of what Michael said on the radio.
Hey Lucie, it's Michael. Obviously you mean so much to me, and with that in mind, I'd like to ask you, will you go to prom with me?
And the best part is, he even picked a song that was one of our favorite songs, I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. And as soon as that question came up at the end, the song started playing. So it actually sounded more like this.
Hey Lucie, it's Michael. Obviously you mean so much to me, and with that in mind, I'd like to ask you, will you go to prom with me?
So nice. So nice.
Taking a quick break and going back to my normal voice to let you know that this video is sponsored by HelloFresh, the meal kit delivery service that inspires me to cook more of my meals at home. If you follow me on Instagram, you might see me posting my HelloFresh meals all over my stories. And that's because they're all so delicious, the ingredients come pre-measured, and each meal has a step-by-step recipe card that makes everything simple and fast. I tend to be that person who can never decide what to cook for dinner, so having a selection of 17 seasonal chef-curated recipes to choose from each week makes my life so much easier and honestly makes me feel like I'm cooking restaurant-quality meals. The meal plan is flexible, so if I'm traveling, I can just skip a week. Or if I'm feeling like I want to add something extra, like a side of garlic bread or even a little cookie dough, they've got me covered. And HelloFresh is now from $6.99 per serving. So get started with 8 free meals. That's $80 off your first month of HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com and enter Lucie80. And now back to the video.
I looked at Michael so confused for so many reasons. First and foremost, how were you just on the radio? Secondly, didn't you already ask to prom? He laughed in my face and he said to me, I intentionally told your friend that because I know she has a big mouth and I knew she would tell you and I wanted to throw you off. And throw me off it did. And pretty much from that day forward, Michael and I have been together. There was actually one short break that we took where we broke up momentarily. So if you want to learn more about that, I put it in this video where I talk about our long distance relationship. I do wish Michael had been here for the telling of that whole story, because who knows, he might have told it differently. Unfortunately, he's been at business school events all day, but as soon as we get home from dinner tonight, I'll turn on the camera and I'll make sure to give him a chance to say what he needs to say. That's the story of how Michael asked me to prom, and I'll see you tonight.
We just came back from dinner and look who's here. Hello. Get over here. Come on. Come into my frame. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Alright, hey YouTube, it's Lucie. I'm back here in my regular voice and Michael's back with his voice.
Hey guys.
Say more.
More. So much more.
Anyway, thanks for coming back to my channel and watching this prom proposal video. I know that Michael's appearance was short-lived, but I hope you were happy that you got to see him. I know he's always requested. Anyway, tell him where to click for all the, good stuff.
Yeah, click somewhere up here, sure, for more good stuff. Not sure what we're calling out today.
Another video.
Another video. Down here, another video.
Subscribe. Subscribe right here.
Subscribe right here.
And here?
And here.
I don't think there's anything here. Don't click here because it's no man's land.
Don't click here. Just go back here if you wanted to click there somewhere else.
Yeah. All right, see you later.
See ya.